Good afternoon on what is a cool, bright and sunny day. It is Saturday the 15th of October, and whilst I should be at Concrete Cow 22.5, I'm really busy, but not busy, quite busy enough to do an unboxing or two. So I've got a nice hot cup of tea, and a parcel. Okay, here we go. So I've got a couple of books in here. The first one I'm going to pull out, so I can get hold of it, is Scourge of the Sword Coast, which is a supplement for Dungeons & Dragons, an adventure for characters of 2nd to 4th level, and it involves the dreams of the Red Wizards. So it's set in the Forgotten Realms, Ghost of the Dragonspear Castle chronicled the efforts of the Red Wizards to unlock the power of elemental nodes located in an abandoned temple dedicated to the principles of elemental evil. A gate to the Nine Hells lay open sometimes, spewing devils and smoke. The heroes who closed the gates could not know it then, but amid the chaos of battle, another threat emerged. This adventure is designed to kick off the 2014 February to May season of the D&D Encounters official play program. Now, it's interesting that these are coming back in print, or at least print on demand from the DM's Guild, because very few of the Encounters programs were actually collected into complete books. Almost a handful, and most of them really for the D&D Next version or edition of Dungeons & Dragons. Now, D&D Next is sort of that lost edition that was available for a short time between Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition and Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. What it was essentially was the playtest document for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and it included a lot of content. The actual playtest document included a lot of content that was picked from previous editions of Dungeons & Dragons, so Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 1st edition, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition, 3rd edition to Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, and then the 3.5 edition, and of course 4th edition. So all of those different editions, and it led up to sort of these, and in particular included a copy of B2 Keep on the Borderlands in sort of like slimmed down, simplified form that you could play using those rules. And this was sort of part of that similar period, because 2014, until 2014. February to May really is that period immediately before the release of 5th edition, with the new starter set and so on. So this is almost like the last hurrah for Dungeons & Dragons before the 5th edition. Anyway, so inside we've got a great cover which is reprinted. Inside there, it's done a decent job on the reprinting, against the background, and the adventure synopsis and how to start the adventure, and a little bit of notes here on preparing the adventure. So it says, before you start the adventure, spend time familiarising yourself with the location, events and characters and so on. The adventure's introduction is the most important to read initially, so they point it to the Dungeon Master. Here we begin to sort of like start how to start the adventure with this NPC, a happy chap, Curran Corvalin. Another of the NPCs as well. That is Jack Ironfist, and we've got a location which is Daggerford. And this is sort of style of cartography that we do continue to see in Dungeons & Dragons. It's a very recognisable style. And then we've got an actual greater map of the Sword Coast. So that's quite nicely done. Probably be familiar to anyone who is a fan of the Forgotten Realms. And then we begin to detail Daggerford itself and its important NPCs. So it's quite text heavy, but it sort of comes with the territory. We've got a lot of information for the Dungeon Master to go through, learn, and then prepare to impart to her players. So, continuing the detailing of Daggerford. I keep wanting to call it Dangerford, but it's not RuneQuest. It's not Dragonfell. And then events in Dangerford. We've got things like the meetings with Sir Istavel, whom we saw earlier. Let's have a look. See if I can find him. There we go. Sir Istavel. We've got a meeting with him listed. Other persons, and then further adventures to have in and around the town. And then we go out of there. We've got to go to the village of Jokon, and there's obvious situations beneath the village in the cellars. So we've got a complete description of the village, and then Fireland Lodge. So Fireland Lodge, it's a hunting lodge, and you've got a map of. It's interesting that it's sort of like you've got 3 buildings that are sort of built over with a connecting upper floor, and then crypts below. So you've got a mini sort of dungeon there for the players to explore. And then we have the ruins of Harpshield Castle and its crypts below. It's another location. Firehammer Hold and its mines and ancient sanctums and its environments, all packed onto one page. So you've got almost got a mini sandbox in a way of locations for the player characters to visit. A cenotaph puzzle thing for the player characters to investigate before we get to Floshon Manor. In similar kind of style, you've got building upper levels and then the area below. Quite compact. These maps are quite compact, but they're relatively easy to view. And last we get to Monster Appendix, where we have stats for things like an air group, animated plate armor, dread warriors, Durga overseer and warriors Durgas, a Gabala possessed goblin shaman as a major NPC. Stats for not only for Hobgoblin Elite or Hobgoblin Cook. All the way down to Wartsnock, you have a possessed orc. White. So there's quite a bit of inventiveness in terms of the monsters and playing around with some classic designs, combining them, making them interesting, and so on. And then, that's it. That is a Scourge of the Sword Coast. Now, I think one of the things I think that in this day and age, people look back to classic Dungeons and Dragons scenarios, and for the most part, the Wizards of the Coast is really referring back to a lot of the classics from the very late 70s and mostly the 80s in general. So yes, it's drawing from things like The Ghost of Saltmarsh, from the U series, Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh, and so on, and then Curse of Strahd drawn from I6 Ravenloft. Again and again with these big dungeon campaigns, it's going back to classic designs, and kind of these titles, these series of adventures, have kind of fallen into fallen by the wayside, fallen into a gap in people's memories, kind of forgotten in between, the editions of Dungeons and Dragons, Dungeons and Dragons 4th edition going to 5th edition. But these are available and playable, and I think it's not an unreasonable time for you to actually revisit these and have a look at see what they are like.
and there's obviously, you know, if you want to put together, you put together all of this, I think, into sort of like a mini campaign set in the Forgotten Realms, and there are several of them. And one of the notable things about it is that several of them did actually see print. Several of them are actually, a lot of them are really hard to get hold of, and they are expensive to collect because really just the one print run, probably quite limited, and so on, in between those two editions. Anyway, this is Scourge of the Sword Coast. I hope you've enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you see me out here with a parcel containing a book or game, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do hit that subscribe button down below. In the meantime, thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. I'll be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.